Good evening. Temperatures may be plunging all over the UK tonight and indeed throughout the weekend, but all the while they are rising here at Alexandra Palace in North London in the Dafabet Masters. The last of the quarter-final places would be claimed this evening, and we'll get to that match between Australia's Neil Robertson and Hong Kong's Marco Fu shortly. But first, a reminder, if you missed it, of what turned out to be a real classic this afternoon. The four-times world champion John Higgins taking on Masters debutant Liang Wenbo, the extrovert Chinese player who entertained everybody on that run to the UK Championship final last month in December. And it's a run that got him here and secured his invitation to the Masters. And what a fight he put up today. John Higgins has made a welcome return to form this season. 2 ranking titles, and he'd won all 7 of his previous matches against Wenbo. A magnificent 119 secured the opening frame for the 2-times Masters champion. But an 88 break from Wenbo quickly levelled proceedings. Higgins was eyeing a Masters maximum in the 4th frame, 13 reds and blacks before falling down on the penultimate red.
Oh, got a kick. Unlucky. Great try.
Wenbo, a finalist at last month's UK Championship, has grit though. A brilliant 61 levelled the match 3 apiece. However, he could do nothing to slow the flying Scotsman.
Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant, John Higgins.
A sublime 133, his 3rd century of the match, secured frame 7. A break of 85 gave Higgins a 5-4 lead before the turning point of the match. Poised to send it into a decider, a crucial missed green from Liang gave John the chance to close it out. He needed no second invitation to seal a thriller 6-4 and move into the quarters, where he'll now face world champion Stuart Bingham on Friday.
Really happy to win. Thought it was a good standard during the game, and I was thinking back to my game last year with Mark Allen, where it was a pretty similar standard, but I lost 6-4. So the snooker is so tough nowadays. Even you can play it near the top of your game and you can still lose. And I think Liang played pretty well. He maybe only missed a couple of crucial balls, and he's lost 6-4. So yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah, 3 centuries, an 85 and a 73. John had to be his absolute best to beat the left-hander from Heilongjiang today. He is through to the quarter-finals. But to the last of our remaining first-round matches here at Ali Pali. And the big question was, what could Marco Fu do to halt the runaway snooker train that is the world number 3 Neil Robertson right now? The Australian has had 2 big back-to-back wins in snooker just before the new year. The champion of champions in November, followed by a 2nd UK title at York, and he threw in a maximum break in the final just for good measure. It's form that's had his fellow pros purring.
Neil Robertson, 2010 world champion. He's been a dominant force in the game for quite a while now, and he walks around the table like he owns it. He's like a male peacock, isn't he? Strutting his stuff. It must be quite tough for his opponents sometimes.
What I like about him is his mental strength and his desire. He just wants to win and win as many trophies as possible.
For me, his biggest strength is his temperament. You would watch a game with Neil and you would never know if he was winning or losing. He walks around the table like he owns the place. He believes he's going to win at all times. And you know, he's worked snooker out. He's worked out how to play this game. He doesn't just rely on his strengths, he knows how to play the game.
The way he plays is the way that a sports psychologist would try and teach somebody to become. But you don't get the feeling he's back in the dressing room talking about the shots he's played badly or having negative thoughts. It looks like he's always going out for the next shot to be a positive one. I mean, I don't know, has he always done it like that?
Well, I remember playing him very, very early on in our careers, and you know, without wanting to sound horrible, I didn't think he was that good. It shows you what a good judge I am, because he's turned out to be one of the best players we've ever seen in the game. But back then he was a mad potter and would go for everything. but I think he hit a bit of a brick wall. But unlike most, he worked out the way round it. He's used YouTube a lot, he's studied a lot of old footage to make himself better, and he's worked out how to be a better player.
And don't forget, of course, he did drop off the tour as well, a couple of times, I think. So it shows you his mental character, his mental strengths.
He's now a very, very astute, all-round player, isn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't stand out in one area, he stands out in them all.
Great cueist, great cue power, annoying. He annoys me, he's so good. OK, let's try and rip him to shreds somehow. Has he got any weaknesses?
Yeah, he's not great at catching flights.
Good.
He is without
true.
question, the current world #1 of flight missed. He's way ahead of all the rest of the tour.
There has been times when we've sat in the studio and gone, he's getting himself a bit bogged down here.
Yeah.
He's like he's taking too long over an obvious shot.
Now he sort of concentrates a little bit too much at trying to be too exact with his cue ball and his positional play, and constantly walking around the table too much. And I think sometimes he's slowed down that little bit instead of just, you know, taking those few seconds off your shot time. Sometimes he's trying to be a little bit too careful and too exact.
Having said that, when it works, he's very, very effective. And when he beat me in the Masters final a few years ago, sometimes he had me in some just completely unworkable positions. He'd taken his time over his shots. He played shots I hadn't seen. I'm sat in the chair thinking, what's he playing here? I come to the table, I may as well have had my hands tied behind my back. When it works, he's very, very good.
Well, given all the eulogies, it might surprise you to know that his opponent, Marco Fu, has actually matched the Aussie. They're 4 wins apiece in major contests, and Fu is marginally ahead if you include lesser league matches in that as well. Add to that the fact that Marco won the Gibraltar Open the week before Christmas with a maximum break of his own, and you had the makings of a competitive match-up tonight. Into frame 1 then, and Marco's 51 points behind Dennis Taylor. John Virgo in the box.
Just looking to see if he left the white tight on the cushion there. Would that red be available into the left middle pocket? I think Mark is reluctant to just roll into the reds, but there's not a lot he can do. I said it, not a lot he can do. He picked out a fantastic double. And now, a great chance.
Yeah, he played a tremendous shot there on the pink. It really was. People accuse him of not having the cue power of a lot of the modern day players, but he certainly shown the cue power there. Cued that beautifully.
And what's Neil thinking now, John? He just rolled into the reds. He could have maybe played away from the reds, but he thought, I'll just keep it tight. Didn't expect that double.
Yeah, as we've said on many occasions, you can't drop your guard for a moment.
I mean, these players, you can't separate them with regards to the head-to-head. So 4 wins each. They've only played once in the Masters. That was back in 2008, and Marco won that on a deciding frame, 6-5. So he's not frightened of the Australian, and shouldn't be, because he's such a terrific player.
30.
I mean, that maximum break he made last year, only the 3rd ever in the history of the Masters.
31.
Don't know whether he'll try and bring the red a bit further away from the cushion. Yes, he did.
38.
Played it nicely. Obviously, he's got the awkward red that's close to the left-hand cushion to contend with. So very important now that he gets a good angle on the colour. off this red to be able to get on the awkward last red, but he's not absolutely inch perfect here. He's going to be running into the blue.
45.
Just flick past it. So he's got an angle to come off the top cushion. Now you've got a choice here. You can either drop behind the red or try and disturb it. Well, he's deciding to play the brown. Can he get close to the red though, off the brown? Well, don't miss the brown. He played the cannon in the end. He got the cannon, missed the brown. Pity.
Yeah, he put a lot into the cannon, didn't he? He took his eye off the brown slightly. He played for the blue, as John said, went a little bit too far, but what a great shot if he had knocked the brown in. And those are the sort of frames that you love to punish your opponent. I mean, Neil was in and just tapped into the reds, and he found that double, and it would have hurt Neil had Marco have pinched this opening frame. Perfectly played.
8.
He only
10.
needs the brown, so he doesn't have to worry about forcing it up for the blue for position. The brown will leave Marco needing snookers.
$13.
Just looking at the scoreboard, just make sure the brown, John, yeah?
Yeah, put him 23 points in front with just 18 remaining. No heroics.
Well, he had plenty of angle anyway.
17.
So he got a little bit closer to the blue, but it was a pretty straightforward brown to clinch the first frame. Right in the heart of the
22.
pocket.
28. And the first
Well,
frame.
it's a first frame that could have went to either player. Marco did have his chance there, missed the brown, and Neil cleared up, and he leads 1-0.
Yeah, and that missed brown from Marco really did set the tone in that frame, didn't it? Because Neil Robertson more than happy to accept stealing that one from the man from Happy Valley, who is not so happy tonight, been struggling with a bit of a cold for the last couple of weeks. In we go to frame 2 now, and it's Fu at the table again.
1.
Judge the kiss off the second red well. Just get the feeling a little bit straight on the black, so pink it is. Not even thinking about it, just getting down and playing it. This is a tough shot. It's a tough shot. Needed a little bit more care and attention to me.
1.
I think he's playing, John, as if he's not feeling that well, and he's just getting on with it, not thinking about anything. He is playing a lot quicker than he normally does. He's not even thinking about the shot.
1.
Well, he's at 18 seconds for his average shot time. Yeah, maybe he is still feeling a little bit rough and just wants to get on with it. Be interesting to see, because if he keeps leaving this man in, it could be an early night.
If you're going to get a full benefit out of that cannon, you've got to hit
6.
the red full in the face, and therefore the cue ball will stay in the middle of the table, but he just, as you saw, caught it half ball. Sometimes you can be really unlucky in going off, but I think he's got a red to the far right corner that he can play. Clean as a whistle. Come to expect that from Neil. Tremendous potter. But you've got to be so accurate at that pace, and he was.
Yeah, one of the best potters the game's ever seen, along with another left-hander, the Welsh Wizard, Mark
40.
Williams,
Still want me to clean it?
who had a great match with Ronnie O'Sullivan. Mark, one of the best potters in the game as well. It's amazing how left-handers seem to be the best potters. I mean, we had Jimmy White, a left-hander. Perry Mons, I mentioned, terrific potter, left-hander as well. Judd Trump.
15.
You know, it's amazing how good they are.
You see it on the sidebar, 69. If he gets to 69 points, Marco will need a snooker.
$23. $28. 29. $36. 37.
This is the sort of form that he showed
44.
in the UK Championship. He really was sensational there.
45.
And to beat Mark Selby in the semi-final, that's 6-0. What a performance that was. And 6-1 against Stephen Maguire. Beat Stephen, and Stephen started with a century break and never got another shot, hardly.
I think it's worthwhile here playing the cannon. I know there's a few loose reds, but the angle he's got on the black, if he plays a cannon, he'd be unlucky not to be on anything. Well, he's decided just to roll it in, dead weight. And he'll be wishing he'd have played the cannon now.
52.
I was surprised as well, John. I know he only needs a few more, but look at the angle. If he easy pot cannons the red anywhere in there, he's opening them up. I know he only needs a couple more reds. Bit unlucky to land on top of the red. That's a very good shot under the circumstances. It was interesting how long he took on that shot, because he didn't want to get any unwanted side, which is what happens when you're bridging over a ball like that. He made sure he hit the white right in the centre and at the top.
Now there's a pink on its own spot. There is the green spot available. How it comfortably goes on its own spot. 58 points the lead. Quick glance at the scoreboard. Red cover red is what's required.
60.
Just about found the angle on the blue. It wasn't the best angle. He didn't really get into the cue ball as he would have liked. So 64
65.
ahead, 67 remaining. Pot the red, because 65 in front with 59 remaining. But this red should have been easier. But a good solid pot, as we come to expect from Neil. And with the black to follow, no way back to the table for Marco now.
$73. 74.
We've had 10 centuries so far in this year's Masters. 137, still the highest. That was made by Mark Allen. But you're looking at a
81.
potting machine here. 439
82.
centuries Neil's made. 60 last season, and a couple of seasons ago he did something that may never be done again. A century of centuries in one season.
$89. 90.
Every pot now, fine in the middle of the pocket. He's got his eye in.
$96.
The brown
97.
will make it exactly 100. Well played. Okay, he was gifted the opportunity, but he still had to pot the balls, and he's made this look very easy. There's sort of the inevitability about it. And as I say, he's got his eye in now, and when this man gets his eye in, anything is possible.
106.
Well, just a bit of pace. Didn't matter about the brown. He made his century break. And Marco through. I wasn't too pleased with his body language there in that frame. Hope that's not a sign of things to come. Neil Robertson won't mind. He leads 2-0.
And he took a 3-0 lead after contributions of 31 and 57 in the next. The Aussie impressively into his stride now as we head into their last before the interval.
Always under at that. Just never got through. Sometimes, of course, if you're not feeling well, then the cue doesn't feel the same at all, and that was a bit of an example of that.
Yeah, just watch his head here, John. He's usually, you never see that from Marco.
Well, not off a break-off shot.
Yeah, we always say one of his great strengths is his temperament, but well, it's just not happening tonight. On top of that, his opponent's playing very well.
$8. 9. 14.
Just 62% pot success rate for Marco.
15.
He hasn't knocked a long one in yet. Had a go at 4 and missed them all. Just a couple more loose reds, and then he's got to get into the bunch, but they're not a good pack of reds to go into.
22.
And from the blue, the pink's away from them slightly, so it's not straightforward, this.
23.
But he's got so much cue power, he'll go into them this time, even though there's 2 loose reds. You see where he's striking down on the cue ball. And watch the white, it stops there and then keeps spinning
30.
and frees the red there. That's all done with timing and backspin. Now we got a little moth around. It was here on the first day. It's been hiding somewhere in the alley pally, but it's back.
$31. $38.
Gets to 71. He'll have a 4-frame to nil advantage at the mid-session interval.
39.
Delicate replacing
45.
John for the pink. Won't affect Neil at all. He's got a couple of loose reds to play for. And maybe the
46.
top red of that cluster will go to the left corner. Certainly the one in the open will go to the right corner. May even decide to play a little cannon here. Mainly because, well, that red does go. But he's got too much of an angle on the blue here to play or have complete control of the cue ball, so maybe the cannon is the option.
Round of applause for our referee. He managed to get them off there. But the cannon's on, I think, John. I would play the cannon off the blue. That would be perfect. He'd open everything up if he went into the little gap there. Already 51 ahead, so not that many pots needed to take this frame before the mid-session interval and lead 4-0. A lot for Marco to think about at the mid-session interval.
$52. $59.
And that's usually the way, John, when you're playing really well, like that last red, there's always just a little gap. When you're struggling, it's not there, is it?
No, I mean, at the moment it's just so much plain sailing. It's just like a walk in the park. And Marco Fu made a 45 break in the first frame.
65.
And since then, he's only scored 2 points. As I say, take away his 45 break in the first frame and 2 points is all he's scored. And it doesn't look as though he's going to get an opportunity to score in this frame.
66.
And that's the ball that means Marco needs 2 sookers, but he won't get back to the table because this is an easy red to continue.
73.
I was going to say, and a good chance to make another century, but just misjudged that slightly. He's not good on this black. No, but as I say, I don't expect Marco to
73. And the frame.
continue. No, he
Robertson.
concedes. He's walking out of the arena. And he doesn't look a man who has got a lot of fight in him at the moment. I don't know what's the matter with him, but as he told Dennis, he wasn't well, and he won't be pleased with the scoreline at the mid-session interval. Neil Robertson leads 4 frames to 0.
Yes, Fu's pot success rate down at 62% for those first 4 frames. He really is struggling out there. So would part 2 of this match signal a revival for him? Let's find out. Frame 5, Robertson 21 points behind.
So he's trusting the table, and it's not let him down.
I think we'll give 10 out of 10 for the table fitter, Pete Godwin, there, because the table seemed to be drifting a little bit on the opening day. He made a slight adjustment, but that ran beautifully, and all the players are complimenting the way this table's playing.
Well, I assumed with Neil playing that red the way he did, that one wouldn't pass the pink. Good pot from Marco, but surprised he left any type of pot on.
Oh, he's close to fouling that. He did foul it. Yeah, I thought he was close, John.
Marco Fu 1.
Yeah.
Neil Robertson 7.
Jan Verhaas was right up there, having a close look. And it was the black he fouled, therefore 7 points away. Didn't see it move, but of course it doesn't have to move. I mean, it can just be lying on top of it.
1.
Yeah, Jan was right down, so close to it. You know, he was in the perfect spot with the referee there. It's tough to see there because of the colour of his waistcoat, but it must just be leaning on it.
Seven. Eight.
And there you saw Jan having a very close look, and in the end, when he leaned down, just as he was pushing the cue through, he must have just dropped his body slightly, and that's why he touched the black. And that pink now puts Neil Robertson just 1 point behind. It's not going to be an easy frame to win at this visit,
14.
because the reds aren't ideally situated and the black's out of commission. But while you're at the table, there's always a chance.
$15.
Yeah, they may look safe, those 3 reds, but they are all available.
21. $22.
Has he gone far enough? to leave himself a slight angle. That's where he could pot that left red of the 3 from. Looks as if he can pot this pink and miss the cannon on the black and leave that on.
$28.
That clears the path for the other red behind the black spot. But looking at the angle here, John, I don't know whether he can get onto that for the left hand pocket. He might have to play for the one that's closest to the cushion.
This pink will put him 20 points in front. So he'll still need red, pink, and the last remaining red.
35.
These are tricky if you're playing with any kind of pace. Although it's tight to the cushion, it's made a little bit easier.
36.
So the pink and this last remaining red to get to the snooker's required stage. Pink will put him 27 points in front, and that red will put him 28 points in front with 27 remaining. Couldn't have played it much better. A quick glance at the scoreboard will tell him what he needs.
42. $43.
They're still quite tight, these pockets, but it's been noticeable along the cushion behind the black. They've been going in even occasionally when they touch the cushion, which is quite unusual.
49. Thank you.
He's coming up
51.
a little bit short, but of course it doesn't really matter. Frame's already safe, so just round the houses to get onto the brown.
$54.
Nowhere near. Oh, no, it's not going in the other
54
corner pocket.
and a frame.
Marco in even more trouble now. The Australian marches on.
Thank you. Frame 6. Marco Fu to break.
So Marco Fu breaks off in the 6th frame. Well, helpful little. Well, I was going to say it was a helpful little nudge off the brown, but he shouldn't have been anywhere near the brown. But he's just playing for pride now. Can't see him clawing his way back into this match. Oh, and not after that. Well, that's the delight of Neil Robertson with him. Just watch the cue. Well, it did go slightly offline, but that was the power he was coming in. But normally he's usually gun barrel straight, isn't he?
Yeah, if he could screw back, he'd be a great player.
Yep, got too much into it. Still pop the green. I think he could cut the brown in. It's whether he can control the cue ball. I mean, 5-0, you'd expect him to take it on, and he is. And it's there.
It was not only in, it went right in the middle of the pocket. It never touched the sides. I see that one went in off the left jaw of the pocket. It's when you pot them right in the centre of the pocket, you know you're really playing well. But the green just went right in the centre of the pocket. And if that red next to the black also pots, this is a terrific chance.
10.
If not, he'll have a little bit of work to do. Looks quite close to the black bat, but I think it's clear. Yeah.
Yeah, it does go. The only thing, you just got to miss the cannon on the second red, the one to the left of the black. And having done that, and maybe every chance now to pot the black and try and play for the red to the left of the black, because that will clear the black for both corner pockets. And once the black's available into both corners, that's when you expect
18.
people of this class to make a frame-winning break.
19.
69 is a target to get to the snookers required, as you see on the sidebar. And if he was to just concentrate on the blacks, a possible
26.
141 on, which would be a leading
27.
contender for the highest break, held by Mark Allen at the moment, 137.
Yeah, these players first played each other back in 2008, and it's been 4
34.
wins each. There's never been a whitewash in the previous 8 meetings.
35.
But
Yeah.
don't know if he got a heavy contact there. Neil feels as if he got a slight kick and it took a bit of the pace out of the cue ball. Let's have a look. It just jumped slightly. Now this is a test of your cueing. One good pot here, and if he can get nicely on a red, it could be all over.
Yeah, it was a tough pot, so just stroked it in, but he knew he'd have this red
42.
to the left middle. And nicely
43.
played. And that little rub off the pink just slowed the cue ball, so he's got a nice angle on the blue. This could be frame and match at this visit now.
Didn't hit the red he intended to there, and it's made it
48.
slightly more difficult. Yeah, he wanted to hit in between those reds. Yeah, this is a delicate little one into the right middle pocket here. That
Neil Robertson.
is an indication of how tight even these middle pockets are. It looked as if it was going in, and then all of a sudden it just caught the jaw. And a chance for Marco.
1.
Well, as I said at the start of the frame, all you can play for now is pride.
Marco full 1.
It's a shame, because every player looks forwards to the Masters, and he's obviously coming in not in the best of health, and
1.
it certainly affected him, and it was showing early on. He was getting down, playing the shots very quickly, so not feeling his best, and I don't think he'll be getting back to the table now.
8.
Would not normally miss a ball like that. So it's been an easy evening for Neil Robertson, it has to be said. He's had no real opposition. But opinion of how he's played, he looks to be cueing beautifully. And it's understandable, Dennis, isn't it? When your opponent's not putting it up to you, you can just lose a little bit of focus, which I think has maybe caused
50.
Neil to miss a few reds that we wouldn't expect. But he's 94% pot success. Look at the long pot success for Marco, 0. There you see it, 68 ahead, 59 remaining.
22.
It's all over.
Yeah, Marco was runner-up here in 2011. He's been in one semi-final way back in 2008. It is a tough tournament, this, with the top 16 in. I couldn't believe
28.
it. John Higgins went 11 years without winning a match here. John?
Yeah, that can happen. Well, the red's not gone in, but there'll be a handshake now.
28.
You've got to feel for Marco Fu. He wasn't on the... Well, he's out of sorts health-wise and out of sorts on the table. A nice, easy evening for Neil Robertson. I don't think he'll find it that easy on Friday afternoon when he faces up to Judd Trump, but he'll be pleased to have got through without any pressure whatsoever. And he runs out a comfortable winner, 6-0, and he's in the quarter-final.
When the draw came out, you know, I mean, you're never disappointed who you're playing because, you know, in the Masters you're always going to get a tough match. But, you know, when I knew I was playing Marco, who's got such a great record, getting himself up for the big matches and especially against like the top players, you know, I thought, well, I've got my work cut out here and I'm going to have to play, you know, really, really well to win. And then during the sort of like the first couple of frames, I knew something wasn't quite right. I didn't know if he was maybe tinkering with his game a little bit, or you know, I didn't know what to make of it. So I just had to try the best I could to, you know, to play as well as I can. And yeah, a 4-0 up, I heard that he wasn't quite well, and so then obviously I had to just kind of finish the match as quickly as possible. And yeah, obviously a real shame for him that for such a big event that he was so unwell.
Yep, a double whammy for Marco Fu tonight. Illness and an in-form Australian inflicting multiple blows. It was another demolition job by Robertson in the end, and we can now etch his name into the quarter-final lineup, which looks like this. Well, the only two players left who've yet to win one of snooker's big three titles. Mark Allen takes on Londoner Barry Hawkins. Trump against Robertson's a rerun of a fantastic semi-final here 4 years ago. World number one Selby renews a bristling rivalry with Ronnie. And current world champion Stuart Bingham taking on the great John Higgins. Boy, are we going to enjoy the next 4 days here at Alexandra Palace. And it all gets underway once again with the tie of the round. It's O'Sullivan against Selby. Now, I don't know how you're going to swing it, but you've got to see this somehow. We'll be with you from 1 o'clock in the afternoon here on BBC 2. Until then, from all of us here in North London, it's good night